Hey guys, good morning. Happy Tuesday. It's Daryl here. It is 6 a.m. here in Connecticut on the East Coast. As you can see, usually when I have these on, I'm in the middle of my workout. And the thing is, I'm making this video now while I got all this in my head because I'm pretty fired up this morning. A lot of things came together. There's Bo, the fifth column, in his video from yesterday about $50,000 loan forgiveness for colleges and everything he said in that video. I support. And I believe in a lot of this, everything he said in that video. Obama's interview, that was in my head. And then there's a couple other articles I'm going to talk about now. And all these things came together that made me realize that it was a harsh dose of reality of how close our country is to doing away with democracy. How scary things are right now, how much work there is to be done. Let me talk first. Scott Atlas, Dr. Scott Atlas. This is Trump's head of the Corona task force or whatever passes for that now. I hesitate to even call it a task force. As Dr. Fauci has said, Trump hasn't shown up in 5 months to these briefings. He has washed his hands of this whole deal, except for one tweet to try to kind of claim, responsibility for the warp speed virus vaccine. Yeah, but other than that, if it's not to claim some kind of take the victory from somewhere else, he doesn't want anything to do with this. This thing's out of control. This is my opinion, my guess, that by tomorrow, Wednesday, the 18th of November, I sincerely believe we'll cross over 200,000 new cases a day on Wednesday. That's my forecast. I hope I'm wrong. All right, Scott Atlas. Governor Whitmer, I hope I'm saying that name right, from Michigan, with all these insane new cases, deaths, hospitalizations, we have to do something. It's out of control. So Governor Whitmer, once again, a Democrat governor from Michigan, again, she reinstituted some of the restrictions. I believe it was restaurants, movie theaters, bars, gyms, a restriction on those. I don't know if they're closed down completely. It was in response to the wildfire, this COVID-19 wildfire just raging unchecked across our country. We've gone up 1 million new cases in a week. 2 million new cases just this month. It's out of control, and Trump has couldn't care less. It's all about him. I won. I rigged election. That's all he's talking about. All right, so his coronavirus doctor, whatever you want to call him. So Governor Whitmer calls for this. Dr. Atlas's response was for the people of Michigan to rise up against her. Yeah, a doctor encouraging people to not mitigate, to not wear masks, to not go along with it, and in fact to rise up against the Democrat governor, trying her best to put a cap on this raging wildfire. But there's more to it than that. As we all know, there was the attempted kidnap and worse of Governor Whitmer from Michigan. And a lot of people, most rational people, attributed a lot of that thinking that this group of terrorists, basically from domestic terrorism, were in fact due to Trump previously calling for them to rise up. And what does Dr. I hesitate to even call him a doctor, Dr. Scott Atlas, to again call for the people of Michigan to rise up. So it's a twofold. Here's a doctor telling people to ignore the governor's requests to try to mitigate this raging pandemic. And then on top of that, it's an insinuation that they should do more, like with this previous kidnapping. Rise up, revolt. I can't believe a doctor, any doctor, is saying this, that people should ignore mitigating anything that would help stop this virus. But on top of that, it's like he's calling for civil war or whatever you want to call it. Then now, on top of that, Lindsey Graham, Senator Lindsey Graham, these allegations that came out against him, you're going to have to forgive me. I can't remember the name of the GOP, the Secretary of State from Georgia. I can't remember his name right now, but he's a Republican. And he's come right out and said that Lindsey Graham called him in a phone call and asked him about if he could look harder at some of these ballots and toss them out. Tossing out legal ballots. And this is a Republican now saying that another Republican called him and is asking him to see what he can do about throwing out ballots. And the Secretary of State brought up the point that these ballots, what Lindsey Graham acknowledged calling them, but he said that's ridiculous. He would never say that. But here we have a Republican himself saying that's what Lindsey Graham was in fact insinuating. See if there's any way he could throw out legal ballots. An illegal act. It shows how close we are here to losing our democracy. Like I said, and then I think of everything else that's happening with Barack Obama and his interview in his book, talking about how close we are to actually losing our democracy. How there's this shrinking group of basically older white males that are attempting to hold on to power over everybody else, and they know they don't have the votes. So what they need to do now, as their little group shrinks, is suppress other votes, or basically do away with democracy, so that they are the ruling class. I think that's what it comes down to. That's the bare bones of it. I don't know how much more anti-American you could get. And then as far as Bo's video, he talks in there about how basically Trump supporters and a lot of Republicans are against this aid doing away with debt for college tuition or free tuition or whatever, because they're reasoning that, well, a lot of the Republicans or Trump supporters say, well, I had to pay for it, or my kids, or my parents had to pay for it, or whatever. Why should these people get it for free? And this just goes back to what I've been saying for the last year. This is this envy and jealousy thing that I just see, and anger, and I just see that over and over and over with these Trump supporters. And I've said in other videos, when you judge yourself, when you judge other people, your life against other people's, it's the surest way to unhappiness. The best thing I found is just trying to be better than I was yesterday. I think comparing yourself, that person got more than me, that person got a bigger piece of pie than I did, it's not fair. And that's what I see over and over and over from these Trump supporters, and that's their argument. And again, it goes back to the people that have money, really, that are able to pay for the education, that are able to get the higher paying jobs, that are able to get into power. It's really an effort for the white ruling class, the shrinking Trump supporting Republican white ruling class, to stay in power. Elitism is what it is. And I've seen all these issues over and over again for the last different stories out of everywhere for the last 5 days, all coming together. And it reminds me of how close we were and how close we are to losing our democracy here in America. I mean, there's a lot of Republicans that are just point blank coming out and saying that they're against democracy. Something I thought I would never hear. Never in my lifetime would I imagine hearing anybody say that. And it's becoming a thing now. This small white, more wealthy ruling class wants to stay in power and suppress other people's votes and their say and their freedom of speech and everything. It's scary times. I think as the month goes on, this month goes on and the following months go on, I think the scary thing is I think the damage is going to become more evident. kind of after a car crash, you look over your car, and once you look down into it, you see all the real damage to the tie rods or whatever, the axles, And that's how I feel the next couple of months are going to be once we open up the hood and look through the damage that Trump has caused to the environment, to our relationship with the rest of the world, to our allies, to our own democracy, to the health of our country. It's scary, but we got our work cut out for us. All right, you guys have a good Tuesday. I'll be back later with another video.